Hi there, and thanks for joining me for this week's edition of your Wheel and Anchor weekly newsletter. Decided to do something a little bit differently this week. I've spoken to many members over the last couple of weeks, and of course, the most common question that I've been getting is, what's it like in Thailand? How are they dealing with the coronavirus situation here? So I thought I'd use this episode to give a little bit of an insight as to what's going on here on this island of Koh Phangan in southern Thailand, which is where I call home. And I'm actually down at the main ferry port here, where usually somewhere between 18 and 24 ferries come and go every day. And now, of course, as you can see, the place is a bit of a ghost town because most of the ferry services to this island have been canceled. Pretty much only essential personnel and supplies can arrive here. And of course, across the country, the situation is similar to what you'd find at home. I mean, we're lucky here in Thailand, if anyone could be called being in the midst of this crisis lucky, but there's about 2,700 cases in the whole country, which we've got about 80 million people. So it's a little more than double the size of Canada's population. And so while the number of cases has been a lot less than we've had in Canada, they're still treating it very, very seriously. In fact, since I arrived here about 5 weeks ago, we've had a state of emergency that was declared by the Prime Minister, and as a result, much like back in Canada, all of the shops and most commerce has been suspended. Only essential businesses are allowed to open. In places like this, here on the island, they set up a temporary testing center. Not the full COVID-19 test, but they test for the common symptoms, so that anybody that does arrive is able to arrive on this island can get tested to ensure that they're not bringing it here. We're lucky here we don't actually have any cases of COVID-19 at the moment, and as you can imagine, the local authorities are trying to keep it that way. Apart from that, you know, we're pretty lucky here that life goes on somewhat as normal. We're of course all obliged to wear masks anywhere in public, and we have a curfew every night, so we're not allowed to leave our homes between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. In addition to that, it was supposed to have been the Thai New Year celebration just a week ago, and the government decided to postpone that. So can you imagine what it would be like to postpone New Year's? But they actually did it here in Thailand to an undetermined date at some point in the future. And in the course of doing that, they also suspended all alcohol sales. So we can't avoid the isolation with the benefit of any alcoholic beverages at this point in time, since there's none available for sale. But I wanted to point out as well some of the casualties of what's going on here. So one of the things that we're doing, because Thailand is suffering a lot, particularly the workers who work in hospitality industry here and come in from Burma, from Myanmar, and they're essentially migrant workers. So as a result of the crisis, they've all, the vast majority of them have lost their jobs. So I've gone and bought a bunch of supplies to help them out. This should hopefully be enough for 8 families to eat because they have no money to buy supplies. So one of the small contributions I'm trying to make here in Koh Phangan, Thailand during the crisis. Just to give you a little elaboration on the economic impact based on what I was just saying, roughly 20% of Thailand's gross domestic product is dependent on the tourism industry. So you can imagine when the Tourism Authority of Thailand estimated that no new tourists would arrive here at all before July or August of this year, the impact of that is truly devastating, and literally millions of people, much like at home, have been thrown out of work. But of course, here in Thailand, they don't have quite as deep a social safety net as we're accustomed to back in Canada. And so it's really challenging for a lot of people here. And so, as you can well imagine, we're hopeful that this crisis will come to a close and that they can find a way to welcome tourists back to this beautiful country. So apart from all that, just a couple of days ago we had our virtual coffee connection. We had a great number of members come out. I think we were at 18, and it was great to see all those faces and hear some of the ways that you are coping with this crisis. We talked a little bit about some of the things that people are doing to alleviate the isolation, the boredom, and so on. And it was just nice to hear each other and see each other on this Zoom technology that is becoming more and more ubiquitous as we go through this crisis. A reminder: this coming week we have our webinar on our revised Majestic Fjords of Norway program that'll take place in 2021. We were supposed to be leaving just this coming week for that program, and of course, like all travel, it has been postponed, and we'll be looking forward to going back next year. So if you'd like to find out more about that trip and see some of the beautiful scenery from Norway, then please do tune in for our webinar this coming week. With that, I send you my regards from here in Thailand and look forward to catching up with you again next week.